June 15th, 8:49 p.m. in the evening. And I am making this video tonight not to share an experience that I just had. This is to share an experience that I had on 6/13/21 after my previous experience, which I just posted on my channel, and I didn't make a video about it immediately. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking about it, and I wanted to kind of combine this experience, sort of use this experience as a way to make suggestions on ways that you might be able to open your third eye, or to be helpful to opening your third eye. Now, I always say this with videos like this. These are all suggestions that I make, and these things all work for me. They may or may not work for you, but I like to put them out there because maybe it will, and that would actually make me very happy if something I suggested to you actually worked. So first, let me get into the experience, and then I'll talk about some of my suggestions. So it was, I guess, about 7:15 a.m., and this was after the experience I had where I was in parallel reality in my apartment. I'd laid back down again, and I had on storm sounds. And so I was lying there, and normally, you know, I always feel great about just having one experience. If I have two experiences, I really think that's amazing, because normally I'll have one and then maybe, you know, a week will go by or 2 weeks will go by before I have another one. So the fact that I had another experience kind of back to back is really kind of a cool thing. And I wasn't expecting it, to be completely honest with you. I was laying down on my right side while the storm sounds were happening. And pretty quickly, within about 5 to 10 minutes or so, I had that sense, or that feeling, that jumping into that in-between place, as if a light switch had turned on, and I was somewhere in the middle between being asleep and awake. And at that moment, I felt myself going over to the left, as if I was going to fall off of my bed. Now, for those of you who might not listen to my channel regularly, with the Beyond Body, I always get this sense that my whole body is either moving or turning or going in some different direction, unlike astral projection, which is basically separation. I don't feel separation. It actually feels like my entire body is in motion. So this time I felt myself go to the left, and many times I'll feel myself as if I'm falling off my bed. In previous videos, I've talked about the fact that I always feel like I'm going to hit the floor. And this time I did. I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit the floor. And of course, right before I feel like I'm going to hit the floor, I stop. And then I start to glide in a forward motion. At least that's what it feels like. Now, once I started moving, a few things happened, and this was very interesting. As I began to move, I could hear a voice. And this voice had the kind of sound, for those of you who know or have listened to the old radio programs that used to be on back in the 30s, the 40s. I don't know if you recall this, but families used to gather around the radio in the same way that people used to gather around TVs, people don't do that anymore. Now everybody has their own personal device. They have computers, they have their phones, and this is how you watch your programming. But back in the day, people would watch, things on TV together. And then before that, they would watch things or listen on the radio, and you would hear that, the voice coming out of the radio, and people would listen. This is what this voice sounded like to me. It literally sounded as if it was coming out of almost a small transistor radio. I could hear this voice, and the voice was, it seemed to be making some kind of a speech. This was really weird. Again, if you've ever listened to someone making a speech and there's certain points where they emphasize things, they raise their voice, to get the crowd going, that's what it sounded like, guys. It sounded like someone was making a speech as I was in motion. And the only thing was, because my experiences are never just normal. I can't ever just have normal experiences. This was so funny because I couldn't understand what the person was saying. It was really strange. Even though they were speaking, I couldn't understand it. It wasn't like they were even speaking another language. I couldn't grasp the words, even though I could hear the words. It was the strangest thing. It was very, very odd. Now, as I was listening to this, and I could hear where the person was emphasizing certain things, they were raising their voice and all these other things as they were speaking. My eyes, they opened. Now, when my eyes opened, I literally felt as if my eyes opened, like literally not my third eye, but my actual physical eyes were open to the point where I was blinking. And what I saw was a bright, bright blue sky. Almost hurt to look at the sky. It was so bright and blue. And I could see these buildings, and these buildings were, as I was passing them, it was so funny because so I could see on my right side, I could see these buildings. They all seemed to be beige or light in color. Most of them seemed like they could have been like condos or something. It was really weird. They all looked similar, but it was almost as if you could imagine for a moment, you're lying down and you're looking up. Let's say you were on the bed of a truck, and you were looking up and you could see, houses and other things as you were passing them. You were looking up and seeing it. That's what it felt like, except I wasn't in a truck. I was just gliding, and I could see these things. And I don't know why I was seeing these buildings, and I don't know where the heck I was, but this was a very interesting experience. It lasted for, a while, just listening. And I remember it was so funny. As I was looking at the buildings and everything and looking at the sky, I was also really, really, really trying to make out what this voice was saying. I was struggling. I'm like, I can't understand what this voice is saying. Now, eventually, this experience came to an end. I opened my eyes and I was like, and it's funny. I think another reason why I didn't go into it and record it, because I was thinking, man, I didn't understand what this person was saying. And, I didn't even know, or I thought maybe people wouldn't be interested in it. I'm not sure, but this was something that happened afterwards. It was interesting, but I wanted to use this experience to get into the third eye, which I will tell you one thing that I do. Again, I don't know if it will work for you, but one thing that I do, I know that people have talked about, the third eye being kind of in the center of the forehead, sort of above the bridge of the nose in that little area, and that's where you would focus on. But for me, what I've been able to do And what I've done in the beyond body, really, honestly, and when I've had other experiences, maybe even astral projection, I have been able to open my eyes, and I felt as if I had eyelids within my eyelids, almost a second set of eyes inside my eyes. Very, very strange kind of feeling. But when I've gotten into the experience, I've raised my vibrational frequency, I have been able to open that second set of eyelids without opening my main eyes. And this might be something you could actually practice, where you lie down and you just imagine that there are a second set of eyes inside of your eyes. Instead of focusing on that middle area, or you could do both. You could focus on that middle spot where the third eye is supposed to be located, where that classic area. But you could also imagine that second set of eyes, or that second set of eyelids, opening up and keeping your eyes closed. Now, perhaps because I have used my third eye so many times and I've practiced and, done this, it now seems as if when I'm in an experience that my actual eyes are open. So I don't know if this would work for you or not, but I was thinking, okay, you know what? I'll put it out there. And, if it works for you, like I said, great. I'd love to hear that. If that ever worked for someone, if someone ever does this, I'd love to hear in the comments if it did work for you. But again, I'm just putting that suggestion out there, and I hope it works for you. So that's it. I just wanted to share this brief experience and give a quick tip. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.